Hello, hello, hello. It's me, Michelle, your host and Pocket DJ of Coffee Fueled Stories, a show where storytelling and coffee hang out. And today we have a very special guest, Savannah R. Fischer. Hello, happy birthday.
Hi, thanks, Michelle.
So we've got two books to talk about, but first, let's talk about, let's see if this is gonna work. All right, there we go. Incantations of Blood.
Do do do
Yes.
do. My baby.
That's your book, baby. So
It
you were one of the
is.
first people to do an ad. So the listeners should very much be familiar with this book. They've been listening to the ads since last year, and
They're
here we
probably
are.
tired of me by now.
No, no. So let's talk about. So like I said, two books. I
hmm
don't have a physical copy of Phobia.
Phobophobia.
There it is. Phobophobia.
Yes, she just came out today.
Yes. Yes. So, thank you for the adorable little bookmark.
Oh, you're
Uh,
welcome.
that's adorable. And so, a couple things about the two books that we're going to talk about today.
hmm
So, um, you had me at 17 words in. I counted it. Um,
Now I have to count and see what 17 words it is.
so it's
What did
the
I do?
opening paragraph.
hmm
Actually, here, would you like to read? Would you like to read the open? Just you can just read I believe it's the first sentence.
Okay. Yep,
So
I've got it.
yeah, yeah,
Whenever you're
yeah.
ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Prologue in a forest dark and deep. Celia crept through the murky forest. Her once white tennis shoes turned the color of discarded coffee grounds as a dense layer of muck adhered to the canvas.
Like I said, you had me at discarded coffee grounds. Like the description of the white shoes and the forest floor with discarded coffee ground brown. Like I was like 17 words in. I was like, thank you very much. So
Well,
kudos.
thank you. Description's something that's very important to me, especially in horror, because if you don't set that tone and the readers can't picture where they are and what's happening, you don't have them.
Absolutely. And so thank you for saying that because well, let's just dive right in. Actually, you know what? I know they heard the ad for the book, but why don't you let the readers know a little bit more about your book before we jump right on in? Like I said, I'm super excited.
Okay.
I've been waiting. We've been waiting like a long time to do this, so I
Yeah.
apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. This is always the part that's so awkward. It's like, I wrote it. It's my baby, but ask me about it. Meow. So Incantations of Blood is, like we said, my book baby. It follows Maeve Baudelaire as she goes to the fictional town of Shady Grove, which is loosely based on my real hometown that I grew up in, Beech Grove. So some of the locations have been more stylized, but some of the locations in there are real. But it follows Maeve as she goes to Shady Grove to investigate the murder of her mother. And she bites off more than she can chew. There's supernatural elements, found family, small town, obviously, lots of horror. And then my personal favorite, it actually has become my brand after writing this, um, Feminine Rage.
Yes. So, okay, this book has so many things. So, thank you for setting us up, telling us a little bit about it, because I'm ready to jump right in.
Yes, ma'am, let's go.
All right. So, like I said, you had me at 17 words in. And then what I loved is you literally dropped us right into the action. You didn't take a long time to build up about the town. You didn't take a long time to build up about the characters. We learn about everything as we're going, and the
hmm
pacing of it just kind of, like I said, ca- it just it had a nice pacing. I kind of felt like it had like heartbeat. So if
hmm
you were to like imagine, a heartbeat, right? So that's kind of how it felt to me as we're getting into the story, we're getting into the characters, we're learning more. And you didn't do it with this long build up. No, there was nothing that was I don't want to I hate to say like, painful prose, and I'll use this example because Stephen King is the master.
Hmm. He can
But
be a little wordy.
oh my God, sometimes what'll happen is a character will ask a question dialogue wise. And 3 pages later, we'll get the answer from the other
Hmm.
character. So there was none of
Yes.
that, is what I'm saying. So the
Yes.
pacing was nice, on point, very much, like I said, it felt very much like a heartbeat. So my first question to you is
Hmm.
about the scene, the setting. Did you know when you created this book baby, your little story, did you
Hmm.
know that that scene that you dropped us into, that forest scene, did you know that was going to be your opening scene?
Yes, that was my opening scene from the get-go. Um, I redid it a couple of times, always, tweaking, 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 but that was always the opening.
Awesome. So now, did this story, we're, I don't want to get into the feminine rage yet. I
Yes.
just want to get into the concept of the story itself.
Hmm.
Is that something that you spent a long time on? As far as like, did it take you 12 years? You were like, okay, I have this idea
No,
for a book. Okay,
no.
please.
I wrote the first draft in 10 days.
What?
So I've always wanted to be a writer. And like I remember going up on stage for something as a kid, and it was like, what is your dream? And I want to be a Newbery Award medalist. Obviously not what I write now, but
Right. I was
for a
like,
kid, that's the
yeah,
award that you know.
I was like, Newberry is a children's literature.
Yeah, I don't know. I will not let my kids read what I write yet. But I had written a short story for a prompt that I saw on Instagram and submitted that, and then I got the bug. Um, I wrote a couple other short stories. Some of them have been published, some of them I am holding for myself. I have a collection I'm working on. Not sure when that'll happen. Definitely not this year, but some of them are held. They will come to light eventually. Waste not, want not. But um, I went through a phase, and I mean, I've always loved cryptids. So originally, the concept for this book, and you can kind of see it in the prologue when I'm talking about the lagoon, is originally the concept was to be like a creature from the Black Lagoon, but make it like a, I don't want to say an all female cast, but female centric. Um, but as the story wrote itself, that's not what it became. And I'm quite all right with that. I love what it became. But yeah, the first draft, um, totally just banged it out in 10 days. It was about 20K. Sat on it for a little bit, went and did the second draft, which that was, I think, like 38 or 39. So I was like, dang, don't have a novel. It's a novella. That's fine. Um, but then my editor worked with me. I was like, well, here's, like you mentioned, Stephen King. I didn't want to add words just for the sake of adding words. Um, but it was, oh, well, here's where you can expand this scene, or like in the final draft, I got an entire chapter that wasn't there before. And it's been really funny. 'Cause, I mean, obviously, you try to make it as seamless as possible, but to me, you know, I know. And it's been really funny that so far no one's been able to guess. And one of my best friends is an editor. And so I actually had her go through and she couldn't tell. But in that final draft, we hit, I think it's 43K. So it is a novel. It is a short novel, but it is a novel. But I want to say from Concept to release. Let's see, 5 months.
Wow.
I will never work that fast again. But 5 months.
Wow, that's crazy. That's really cool.
Yes.
So then no, now now we can, and the other thing is it's going to be really hard to not talk spoilers because
Yes.
there's so many things. I literally had to like really like make my notes very generic and not like in a bad way. It's because I really don't want to give anything away.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
when we talk about certain characters, I'm going to keep everything at a very high
Hmm.
level. Just from that perspective for that reason
Yes.
alone, because we can we can spoil the crap out of this, and I don't want to do that. I think that's going to be
Yes.
very disrespectful, especially considering this is your book baby, and all of there's a lot of fun things to like suss out. So,
Hmm.
if I had a Patreon, I would totally do a paid Patreon for like behind the scenes, but unfortunately, I don't have one of those. So we're gonna have to keep this very spoiler free.
That's fine.
So that being said, we can talk about a couple things that I think are very safe to talk
Okay.
about location wise.
Hmm.
So you mentioned the Indiana State Hospital as being one of the most haunted places in the United States, I believe is
Hmm.
what you said.
Yes, that
So
is real.
have you been?
I have not been.
Do you
It
plan
is on the
on
bucket list. I've
going?
got to work up my courage a little bit more before I do that. I had to really think about what I wanted to do with that location because Indiana's got several. The one I almost did, like it was in there and I took it out, was the Hannah House. Because I have been there, but it's not as haunted. Um, so I was like, no, we're gonna commit to the bit.
So I wanted to ask you, this is my final question about Indiana, and
Oh,
it's not
that's
to take
fine.
away from anyone else, because I'm a huge Ashley Flowers crime junkie.
Hmm.
Like crime junkie is actually what got me into podcasts, not gonna
Oh,
lie.
awesome.
So my question to you is, have you ever run into Ashley Flowers at the coffee shop?
I have not. So I am from a very small town. It's a suburb of Indianapolis called Beech Grove, hence Shady Grove. Um, we don't get anything fun there. We
Okay.
don't get anything fun there.
So this is our plea. This is our request then. Ashley Flowers, please go visit Beech Grove.
Silver Linings Coffee House is really good. I
I
actually
love
don't
it.
live in Beech Grove anymore. I do live in not like downtown, like skyscraper Indianapolis. But I live in like still Indianapolis, but it's the way they have the city drawn is really weird because it's not just here's downtown, it's here's all these sprawling. It really should be labeled as a suburb, but I'm Indianapolis still.
Ah, I
It's
love
weird.
it. Uh, so let's talk food because one of my favorite
Hmm.
things is characters who eat. Characters that don't eat are very frustrating for me. And I just have to say, thank you for feeding your people.
You're welcome. That was actually something important to me. So again, keeping things above board, but
Yeah.
the character of Mrs. Graham is based on my mom.
I love
And
her. She's my
um,
favorite. I know that's
well,
a
thank
terrible thing
you.
to say, is
No,
to say you have
everyone's
a
got
favorite
their
character, but she's
favorites.
my favorite. I love her.
Yes, she is based on my mom. My mom's middle name is Carol. So, she did not know that until I handed her the book.
Aw.
But my mom loves to feed everyone. So all the recipes that Mrs. Graham makes are real things that my mom makes.
Okay. I wrote down what your people eat. So we're gonna talk some food. Oh, and it also didn't help that I was hungry. So I have a tendency to do that. I'll read on an empty stomach and I just kind of like latch on to what people are eating and then I look and I'm like, "Oh, I should probably go eat." So let's start with the chocolate chip cookies.
Mm-hmm. My
Um,
mom makes the best.
oh my God. Those just sounded amazing. I could just
They are.
imagine that warm, gooey. I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, Savannah, you're killing me. Chicken and dumplings.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
Yes.
The cinnamon roll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. But my favorite is the jalapeno cornbread.
Mm-hmm. That is actually, so my mom makes that,
Oh
but
my
that
God.
is actually my recipe.
Well, all right. I love. And then you went to my favorite thing in the planet, a 1950s diner.
Yes, so that is based on a real place.
Yeah?
So I changed the name. Um, Fun fact, so its name is Stevie's, I think is what I did.
Hmm.
And so my dad and my brother are both Stevens. And my daughter, one of my daughters, I should say, they're both in there. But my youngest daughter, her middle name is Stevie. So I tweaked the name, but that is based on a no longer around diner called Edwards. But if you're into food, Guy Fieri from Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives went there. So look it
Awesome.
up. You can see
Awesome.
it. And
Awesome.
that everything I listed in there, the giant tenderloin, I mean, this thing was this big, the deep fried mushrooms, it was all there. It's real
Oh my God. So
and
my
delicious.
oh, like I said, so my first page of notes I hadn't eaten. Then I went, I ate, I came back, and then we got to the 50s diner, and I could tell because I only wrote down one thing, which was the deep fried pickles, because I freaking love those.
I
And
put
then
those in for my husband because that is not my thing, but that is a very Indiana thing.
oh, it's the first time I ever had them. I think I had just gotten stationed in Arkansas, and I
Hmm.
had never had deep fried pickles before or jalapeno cornbread. And those two
Hmm.
things my mom and I had at a local restaurant, and
Hmm.
we just fell in love. Like those were our we couldn't believe we're like, how does not everybody know about this? Like
Hmm.
these things are amazing. And then my question to you about diner food is, have you ever
Hmm.
had a grilled cheese sandwich and dipped it in either ranch dressing or barbecue sauce?
I have. Indiana runs on ranch dressing.
Oh, that is like my absolute favorite thing is especially like the Texas toast. So it's like the really thick
Hmm.
grilled cheese and then dipping that in ranch dressing. Needless
Yes.
to say, those are special treats I probably only should have once a year, but damn it, those things are so good.
Meh. You deserve to eat.
Before we start talking characters,
Hmm.
um, I saw that you were drinking something with a straw. So this is something I never
Yes.
do. I normally always have hot coffee, but because it's like 90 degrees
Hmm.
here, um, I'm actually, it's hot if I'm having an iced coffee.
Oh, I run on iced coffee. I don't care if that makes me sound basic. When you're a mom, especially a stay-at-home mom, the iced coffee is easier because you don't have to worry about it going cold.
This is
You
true.
you don't have to microwave it 6,000 times.
This is true. Is there anything special about your iced coffee? I'm doing something, like I said, this is kind of a special treat. So I'm considering
Hmm.
this a birthday drink for you.
Yay!
This is cold brew, but
Mm.
it's brown sugar and cinnamon flavored
Ooh.
cold brew. And then I added oat milk and a little bit of vanilla sugar. So it's
Ooh,
probably a little bit
fancy.
sweeter than I would normally do. Happy birthday.
Thank you. So I only drink, okay, I won't say only, but I mostly drink a brand called Bones Coffee. I don't know
Yes,
if you've ever had them.
very
They are
good.
the best. So for my birthday, my husband got me a pina colada version because I am obsessed with all things pineapple.
Yes.
So this is pina colada with almond milk because your girl is lactose intolerant, pineapple syrup, coconut syrup, and then a little bit of blueberry syrup.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yes, we have our own, I joke, little coffee bar. We've got like 12 different like full-size flavor syrups by our coffee machine because we like to get a little fancy.
I
That's
love
my
it.
treat to myself.
Good for you. Good for you. I love it. And there's nothing wrong with that. We kind of have the same thing. Like we stopped going and spending money at coffee
Mm-hmm.
shops
Oh
because
yeah.
it's just better at home anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like my stuff super sweet. I know today I'm having a sweeter one, but in general, I don't like.
I'll drink all the sugar for you, don't worry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, like so I'm experimenting with my coffee. I'm using
Mm-hmm.
less sugar and more
Mm-hmm.
flavors.
Yes, that
So
does help.
it's kind of hard to ask for that at, the coffee shops.
Yeah.
So we've just been buying flavored coffee and just making our
Mm-hmm.
own stuff at home. It's
Yes,
working out just
I'm
fine.
really excited. Bones has a cherry ice cream flavor too. And I have it, but I obviously have not opened it yet.
Mm.
But you can smell it through the bag, and I'm like, ugh, I want to bathe in it.
Right? Oh my God, I know. Like, I don't understand why there isn't like a coffee scented perfume. Like, I would love to
Right.
smell like vanilla coffee all day.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, someone, anyone, please create this because I think people will buy it. Um, so again, without spoilers,
Yes, ma'am.
um, I think this is safe to talk about. Can I just say I love the horror garden gnomes as
Yes.
do you have horror garden gnomes?
They are on my wish list on Amazon. Um, we lived in an apartment,
Ah,
so I have not got them yet. I do eventually, so Ghostface is my favorite. And I've convinced my husband, say convinced, let's be real, that man tells me yes to everything. That when they go on sale, I can get the Ghostface one and we can put it on like our little porch.
that's awesome.
Um, but they're a real Amazon product.
That's awesome. These, like when you just, I was like, oh my God. So you, again, we're not going to do any spoilers, but
Hmm.
we can talk a little bit about Maeve, the t-shirts. I
Hmm.
love the little personal touches of
Hmm.
like with books of horror.
Hmm.
Horror Nerd, I think was another one.
Book nerd, and
Book
those
Nerd.
are
Thank
real things that I own.
I figured as much. I figured those were your
Yes.
shirts. And so I
Yes.
really like how you like sprinkled like that in, like your
Hmm.
personality.
Yes, like
You
her
could,
ice cream order is my ice cream order.
I love
Maeve
that.
Maeve is not a self-insert character. We have some similarities, but we're very different people. But what better to write about than what you know in some cases? So I'm like, you're not gonna catch me writing about loving mint chocolate chip ice cream. No, no, no. Chocolate and sprinkles. GIF.
I love that. I love that. And that's so when you were creating the character of Maeve,
Hmm.
and you like you said you inserted parts of your personality, but
Hmm.
you knew she was not you.
Yes.
Was this a character that you've had in your head for like a long time? I know it only took you 10 days
Hmm.
to write, but was that have you been playing with her in your head for a long time, or is that something that you just kind of
No,
created as well?
no. Celia actually, when I first had the idea, um, again, keeping it spoiler free, but what happens with her was always in the cards. I knew I wanted to have that kind of cinematic, camera goes here, fade to black, whoosh, we're somewhere else type moment. Maeve was a little harder because I wanted her to ring true. Probably about the things someone could say about my writing that would hurt the most would be like, oh, your characters are flat. Because I take so much care into trying to give my characters that depth. So I was pulling, some of the quirks are mine, some of the quirks are other people I know. Um, but I really wanted all my characters, but especially Maeve being the main, to be a real, living, breathing, you feel like you could go have coffee with her.
Absolutely. I hope nobody has said your characters are flat because that would suck. So hopefully nobody has said that.
Nope. I had one person, and reviews, you take everything with a grain of salt. I had one woman say, or I don't know why I said woman, one reviewer, I don't know what it was, say that Mrs. Graham felt like a caricature. And I was like, ouch. But I'm like, you're entitled to your opinion. We carry on. It's not
Like
that deep.
I loved her without going into details because at the end of the book, I just wanted to hug her. Like I just
hmm
wanted a big mama hug from her, Mrs. Graham.
hmm
Like I loved
Yes.
Mrs. Graham. I thought she was great. Like
Yes.
Mrs. G, like literally like Mrs. G, like I want to hang out with Mrs. G. I want to eat her
hmm
food all day. So I did not feel like she was a caricature at all. I love so I'm assuming this is going to be a compliment because Evil Dead
hmm
is like it's a cult
So
classic.
good. Yes.
I felt like if Evil Dead is your book had elements of Evil Dead. And I don't mean like it's not as a comparison, but
Yeah,
style wise, like
I can see
how
that.
Ash, like the silliness of Ash, but yet it's not like he's being silly, but you take him seriously. And
hmm
that's how I felt it had the elements of Evil Dead
Yes. Yes.
in a good
So
way.
yes, so that is actually based off one of my coping mechanisms is I will tell just about anyone that I diffuse bad situations with bad humor. You're gonna get a bad joke. That is how that's just how my brain works. So I remember at one point my editor was like, this just feels a little out. It's like we had to tone it down a little bit. A certain scene that you can probably guess. Um, but I was like, okay, but there still has to be some humor there, or it's not me.
And I love that I don't want to say you put your foot down, but you really like made a point. You're like, and, and that's one of the things like working with an editor, like one of my
Mm-hmm.
biggest fears, I should say, is working with an editor who tries either too much polish or tries because, at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
book sales is it's about selling books, right? Having a
Mm-hmm.
book and they want to, and so there's like a formula. And if somebody were to tell me I'll use this example for myself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
can you like make it a little less silly? Because like my book is silly, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it's some heavy shit in there, so I need the levity,
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody would be like, well, tone that down, I would be like, no, no,
Yeah. No, my editor was great.
good,
Her name is Stephanie Huddle, if you ever need one. She is fantastic. And one of my dearest, bestest friends. So, I mean, she knew where I was coming from. And I mean, she was right that at that point, that humor was a little too over the top. So I think we dialed it back to just where it needed to be. But I mean, there was nothing that was personal that she was like, you need to cut this. I was like, there was nothing like that. It was, there was definitely developmental stuff, but with her, it was actually more of, I would like to see more of this, or I'd like to expand this.
nice. That's what you always want to. That's what you want to hear.
Yes.
I can, that's exactly what my editor said. They're like, "Can you do
hmm
more?" And I was like, "Yes." She was like,
Yes.
"I'm sorry I keep asking for more." I'm like, that's all I hear. You want more?
hmm
You're not I didn't have the conversation where they said, cut this. It was
hmm
and that's what I'm saying. Like that's the relationship you want from an
Yes.
editor. But like I said, that was like my biggest fear. I was like, "Oh my God,
Yes.
they're gonna they're gonna take away my voice."
hmm
They're gonna do something to it that's just not me. So I'm
hmm
very glad that you had a very good experience with Steph.
Yes. No, I adore her.
I love it. All right, so one final question
hmm
about I like to call it Shady Grove, even though it's Incantations of Blood. Shady Grove is why I like I said, why we had started having this conversation way back when.
Yes.
So, you have the word cattywampus on page 119. And can I just say, I love that word. I love cattywampus.
I love fun words.
Do you make a point to stick certain words in your stories? Like, is there just a favorite word that you're like, I absolutely have to put my stamp in this story?
Um, Not in this book. I have another book that I'm working on where my friend's husband complained that she's a horror writer. She knows a bunch of horror writers and no one had killed him in a book yet. So I said, challenge accepted, you die. And so we have a special nickname for him. And so I have made it a point to sprinkle that in at least once per chapter.
Nice. Nice. So, like I said, I feel bad because I really want to talk more Shady Grove, but I also don't want to give anything away because
Hmm.
everyone needs to feel
There's
100%.
layers.
Yeah, they need to feel it all on their own. So I'm gonna just keep it at that
Hmm.
and move on to your your other book baby that just came out
Yes.
today. So let's talk about this one because this was disturbing.
We prefer the term unhinged.
Okay, so, sorry, my cheeks hurt because okay, okay. I love how you have face your fears in there
Hmm.
because it's true, right? And
Hmm.
all I have to say is I felt very validated in a way with some of these fears that are out there,
Hmm.
but I don't have a fear where like I'm a germaphobe, but I can
Hmm.
still function.
Yes.
Um, let's do this. So I'm not going to do all of them, but I'm going to list
Yes.
several. So mirrors,
Hmm.
no issue with mirrors, balloons, appearance, roller coasters, not a fan. Birds, I'm cool with birds. I know there are some
Not
people who are
anymore.
not. Yeah. The one I really relate to is Europhobia. Um,
Yes.
and belly buttons, because those are disturbing.
Hmm.
Teenagers, yeah, like, in a way. Uh,
Yeah.
Bathing, I can understand about bathing, but I don't have an issue with it's just it's our most vulnerable. It's
Hmm.
our right, and then it doesn't help that Psycho introduced
Hmm.
us to that because again, yeah. And so, I'm always, checking behind the couch, the shower curtain.
Hmm.
But the one I can really, like I said, the one I can really relate to is Europhobia. I don't have a phobia, but it's just peeing in public is just nasty. Like,
Yeah.
it's just wrong. Like, it would just be really nice if there was a way that it would just, after every person goes in, there was just like this UV super sterilizing bleach that like comes from the walls and just like,
Hmm.
just sterilizes everything. And then the next
Yeah.
person goes in and you're like, it doesn't smell like pee or whatever. Because some
Yeah.
people get sick and I get it. I get it.
Hmm.
But
But
I also
yuck.
hate it.
Yes. Yes, it was really fun. So we started this November, I think. I mean, we'd been planning it for a while, but I think we sent out invites in November or December, something like that. And basically, our concept was we want off the wall phobias. Don't give me fear of the dark, fear of spiders. They've been done, they've been beat to death. Give us something fun.
So the authors got to pick the phobia?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they had to tell us, and like, we weren't strict. We had a couple people be like, "Can I change?" And we're like, "As long as no one else has it, you sure can."
Like I said, yes. So your story that was in there,
Yes.
um,
We're gonna try to pronounce this. I looked it up on Google.
good Lord, that's a long one. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Agoraphobia is the
That
best
one.
we're getting with that. Yes,
That
that one.
one.
Fear of
So
being forgotten.
Yeah. So it's funny because like my mom, when she was in her 60s, she started feeling invisible and
Mm-hmm.
irrelevant. And then she decided to start teaching children.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to say I can't, I think it was high school. I think it was high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really good for her. I was like, oh, this is great. You know, it'll your leadership skills will come into play. You'll be able to impart some wisdom onto, future generations. Like this will be great for you. And it was because I
Mm-hmm.
remember she was like, nobody wants to talk to the 65-year-old lady.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuck with me because I was like, I love old people. Like I think they have amazing stories to tell.
Yes, one of my absolute best friends is a 70-year-old man. He's like my adopted grandpa.
I love that. I love that. So
Shout out to you, Jim. I love you.
yeah, that's awesome. And so because I always have my mom kind of like in the back of my head how she always
Mm-hmm.
said she felt, irrelevant. And I know it's a valid fear. It really
Mm-hmm.
is, of becoming older. Because of our culture, the culture that we have, there are other cultures that, embrace their elders and
Mm-hmm.
it's you never forget about your elders. But so I'm talking specifically, like our cultural,
Mm-hmm.
upbringing and how, you put them in a home. And I told you Shady Grove is, I want to be in a home, and I always call it Shady Grove, and I'm working towards that because I want someone to feed me. I want someone to push me in a wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have children.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't leave a legacy, so someone else is going to have to do it for me. So I don't want to be that forgotten old person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was really interesting about like again, female rage. We're not going to talk about the story, but I
Mm-hmm.
love how the thread of like the female thread is
Mm-hmm.
very strong in both in one in the full book and then one
Mm-hmm.
in the story.
Yes. And what's funny that you mentioned the old people was so that was a direction I almost took that story. And then um I was like, no, you know who would probably really struggle with that phobia would be a narcissist.
Of course.
And
Yes.
so I was like, that'll be a fun slant. So we went, meow.
It was very, very, very entertaining and disturbing. And I love the choices that the authors took.
Yes.
And so I don't know if this is a valid question or not, but I'm gonna ask it.
Okay.
But is there a fear? And when I say for everything, like, is there a list that has like every single type of fear? Like, I don't know if this book exists or not, but let's just say somebody has a fear of
hmm
pudding. And
Really what we did was we did a lot of Googling. Because like you can Google what was some of the things we Googled? Weird fears, off the wall fears, unique fears, but also like some of our authors were like um we'll go with Matt Lutton, for example, was like, I want to do the fear of being ugly. We're like, look, if you can find the scientific name for it, do it. So, like, for example, the fear of bathing one, I feel a little bad for David because there wasn't a term for exactly what he wanted to do. So his is actually more like fear of shower curtains, but there wasn't, that specific. So we were like, well, we found this because if they got stuck, we tried to help them. We're like, we can throw it under fear of bathing. But
um,
no, lots of Google. I mean, there's a lot of ones that I was like, I never would have thought of that. So if there's not like that specific thing, there's an umbrella for it.
got it. Because I
Yeah,
was like,
there's tons.
fear of dust, fear of earwax, fear of
hmm
nose hairs. I was like, like, does somebody have this stuff? Like, is there a book that
hmm
has these things? I didn't know.
We did not find that, but we found list upon list upon list, and then, we went through and verified that, oh, yes, this is a real thing. Okay. But I mean, that was one thing that was important to us was each story. is the scientific name for the phobia. Because we wanted to be like, these are real.
So I know that this is only your first one, but
Hmm.
do you anticipate doing like another, like a part two or volume two
We've
where,
talked about it.
yeah?
So Jill Glenn is one of my absolute best friends. The back of the book, you'll note we actually have our own logo, Jilliana. That's
Yes.
what people call us.
Yes.
Um, and I could not share all of our secrets, but there will be more coming from Jilliana. We are far from done. We
Awesome.
are going to be pestering people for a long time.
So now, the book just came out today, yes?
Yes. Yes.
So is it fully live? It's not
Hmm.
pre-orders, right? It's
It's
100% out
live. It's
there.
available ebook and paperback on Amazon. And then Jill and I both have signed copies on our websites, but they're just signed. Excuse
Bless
me.
you.
They're just signed by one of us.
How do I say this? How do I ask this without like, were
You're
there
fine. Just ask.
were there any stories that they came to you and you were like, absolutely no. No, we
No.
can't do that one. Okay.
Nope. Nope. We um Jill and I say that we spread good chaos. We are all about the wild, the crazy, good chaos, good fun, never in a mean spirit or anything like that. No, I mean, we gave our authors pretty much free rein. The closest we had, not to telling someone no, but we had like a person or two come to us and be like, "Hey, I'm really struggling with this story," and like we tried to help them with that. But no.
Awesome. Awesome. That's good. That's good because I I have so many things that I want to like so I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to keep those to my I just want to make sure
Hmm.
I keep
You can
that to
always
myself.
DM me later.
Yeah, I'll keep that to myself.
Yeah.
So that being said, again, we have to talk everything very high level because we
Yes.
don't want to give anything away. The Incantations of Blood.
Hmm.
Um, do you anticipate any other, what's the word I'm looking for? Will there be like a continuation? Will there be,
Possibly, I have ideas.
okay,
The other thing I want to do, and I have so far, so I've got two other novels that I'm working on, and they both have a callback to Shady Grove.
awesome.
So one, like this is a spoiler free, I can get one mentions that like the girl went to like Shady Grove Elementary, and then the other mentions, I want my readers to be like they're all distinct stories, but to think that they're kind of in like their own universe. So Shady Grove is real in all of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's really, and like I said, I know that it's Beech Grove,
Hmm.
but there's I don't know, and the way that you
I like
describe
Shady Grove better.
I can't, I don't know. And I don't know why I chose Shady Grove to be my old people's home. I don't
Probably
know
because
why.
Golden Girls. Shady Pines, Ma.
That must be it.
That's what I tell my mom when she's annoying me.
My see, and this is what's funny. My mom told me she was like, "Don't you dare put me in a home." She's like, "I'm gonna make you take care of me." She's like, "You're gonna bathe me. You're gonna feed me. You're gonna roll me around in the wheelchair." And at first I fought it. I was like, I don't. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this is gonna be awful. Like, oh my God. Like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to take care of this woman. Then of course I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, the woman took care of me, so the least I could do
Hmm.
is take care of her. I get so I was like, okay, okay, fine. I'll get you your own room with your own TV, with all your stuff, set you all up with your teas. Like I accepted it. But
Hmm.
like I said, I was fine with the fact that I was like, I don't have a problem going to Shady Grove because I don't have I don't have someone who's going to wipe
Hmm.
my bum, when it needs to.
Yeah.
So like I said, so when I found out your book was all about Shady Grove, I was just like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
I
remember
am.
that conversation. We got a good laugh at that.
We did, we did. So I just want to say, Savannah, thank you so much for joining me and talking about Shady Grove because, like I said, it
Oh,
just brings an instant
thank
smile
you
to my
for
face.
having me. No, this makes me happy. I know we've been talking about this for a while, but it's
For a
been
long time,
such
yes.
a pleasure to get to know you. You're so sweet.
You are too. And like I said,
Well, thank
happy
you.
birthday, happy book
Thank you.
birthday. Like it was just, it all worked out. I'm glad I think it took us
Yes.
like 5 months, 6 months. It's almost been a year to get
Mm-hmm.
here.
I think we started talking about this shortly after publication, which
Yeah,
was last
yeah,
September. So,
yeah,
not
yeah.
9 months.
Crazy. It's been crazy. So, uh, final thoughts.
hmm
Can people find you at any book events? Do you have book signings coming up? Are you going to be talking Shady Groves, doing any
hmm
reading, things of that nature?
So right now I do not have any events lined up. Um, Being a stay-at-home mom and I also homeschool, that makes travel hard, especially my kids are 3 and 6. Um, so it would be nice. I did do one signing over in Illinois in May. But unless it's something local, um, not for a while. I was hoping to do the TBR Con in Tennessee and just can't make it. Just it's too hard with little kids right now. But I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I've got my website. I'm pretty open, easy to talk to. So I'm around.
And you're also on the Memento Mori Inc. magazine.
Yes, I
Bestie
am.
team. You're killing it over there. So, I like, I
And I
love.
write for the blog too.
Yes, yes. You and Jill, like you guys are like
hmm
your guys' stuff is like so in other words, even though you're not able to do these other things, people are still able to read your words
hmm
and stay up to date and find out
Yes.
what's happening in
I
your
like to say I'm inescapable, but in a good way.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, thank you so much for hanging out today. I really appreciate it. I apologize for all of the sound issues that we were having
It's
earlier.
fine.
On that final note, could you please sign us off with a go forth and be magical?
Yes, go forth and be magical, my penguin friends. Mwah.